I think there's a lot more interesting conversation to be what could this be, but in reality, this is just a really underwhelming, bland, close to useless second level spell.
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Barkskin.
Well, shield, defend with my skin made of tree. This is a second level concentration effect. Less than an hour. Cast time on action, range of touch. It is Druid, Ranger, Nature Domain, Clerics, and Circle of the Land Forests who get it for free. So you always have it prepared if you're Circle of the Land Forest. You touch a willing creature. Until the spell ends, the target skin has rough, barkly appearance, and its AC can't be less than 16, regardless of what kind of armor it's wearing.
Yeah, I'm never excited about a 16 armor class. The the one saving grace, I guess, is that you can give it to somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most interesting use case. So, like, I think the obvious place you start with this is Circle the Moon Druid, right? Because their beasts have balls AC, like ACs of 10,
Hmm.
11. So this gives your bear form an AC of 16, which is novel. The problem is, like, you're probably going to still take a lot of hits because 16 just isn't that high,
Yeah,
ultimately,
see, that's
right?
the other thing I was thinking. Like, all right, it's a concentration spell, but it gives you some protection, meaning it's gonna make you less likely to take damage, but not that much less likely, and not for very long.
Yeah,
Like concentration up to an hour is kind of a joke. This isn't going to last an hour.
sure isn't. I mean, maybe it does if you're like, if you are the ranger putting this on your druid, or you're a druid putting it on another druid. The problem is, like, that is the only character in the entire game I think that benefits from this. I think almost every other option has an easier and cheaper way to get an AC of 16, especially ones that want to take hits. So, like, this doesn't work with shields. This doesn't work with like any other meaningful AC bumps, just because it will only ever check your base AC. So, like, if your AC is 14, you will the shield, it becomes a 16. This doesn't give you an AC of 18 all of a sudden. Your AC is still
Yeah.
16. It just can't, it just says it can't be lower than that number. So it'll always take 16 or whatever's higher. It won't ever like let you bump AC on top of a flat 16, which makes this only good for characters that definitely have like 4 or 5 lower AC than 16, which is
Yeah.
again literally just druids that are bears.
Wild shapes. Yeah.
So I mean, you could put this on like an animal companion. Is that good? Like, maybe you're a ranger, you throw this on your beast, and then it has a higher AC.
Or maybe a squishy spellcaster.
I don't want to cast defensive spells on people that aren't trying to take hits, generally
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah. That's another thing.
Like, if I'm
Ah,
going to get more hit readily than my wizard is, why am I giving them Barkskin?
yeah. They've probably got a mage armor anyway.
Yeah, Major Armor Shield, Blade Song, all kinds of
Yeah.
defensive stuff that they have at their disposal. The spell feels kind of like lost to me. Like, it's iconic. It is one of those effects that feels innately druidic in all of MMO culture, all of fantasy, high magic nonsense settings. Like, this is the thing I'd expect a WoW druid to do, right? Is, oh, Barskin is a passive plus 60 to your armor or whatever, right? This feels like the kind of ability that I would see in just every bog standard fantasy role playing game. Is your skin becomes tree bark because tree bark is nature and nature is you, and that's the whole gimmick. So I do like the spell exists for the edition. It's just, it's a shame it is so bland and so bad. Like, I would have
Yeah.
loved
They
if
could
this
have done
was
like it could have just been an AC bump, and would that have been the end of the world?
like, even if it's just like unarmored creatures get a plus flat 5 to AC, I think is a lot
Yeah.
more interesting than this. I definitely think concentration needs knocked off of this. This taking concentration is a enormous problem because you don't want your defensive boons to stop working when you need them most. So, like, and you, if you're a druid that is wild shaped and doing this, it's not like you can put it back up if it does get knocked off. You can't speak because you're a bear. So, like, and you have a giant truckload of hit points you're trying to use. So that's not ideal either.
No.
It just, a lot of things don't work in this current form towards it. It's not particularly
Yeah.
complicated either. It's just like 16 isn't a good enough number, I don't think. And, like, I don't know what a good enough number is, but it probably doesn't have to involve concentration. It, like, it Oh man, it's just really clunky.
I just don't like the mechanic. Just
Yeah.
can't be less than 16. You could put, I won't say any number there, but it's yeah, there's a number where this would be a good spell. I also don't know what it is, but it's definitely not 16. And I
Yeah.
just don't like that that's the mechanic they went with. I mean,
Yeah.
even Stone Skin, you just get, resistance to mundane damage. That's something.
Yeah, that feels
And it,
more interesting, right? That feels like a way to differentiate how druids can be more tanky is, Stone Skin provides this resiliency and resistance, whereas, paladins just have an enormous plate mail that makes them very hard to hit. I like there being that kind of push pull. I would have loved for this to be flat damage reduction or something, right? Maybe it's just Barkskin is you
damage
take
reduction
three
would have been another
less
way to go. Yeah.
damage in a lot of instances. There could be cool ways to do a defensive druid spell like this, because I do think it's like fundamentally for druids. Melee rangers have no issue getting an AC of 16, so like they don't want it, right? Their dex is going to be +4 anyway. They can have an AC of 16. They're going to have an AC higher than 16 on almost every instance.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't. Oh, I think there's a lot more interesting conversation to be what could this be, but in reality, this is just a really underwhelming, bland, close to useless second level spell. Like, it's not uncastable. It will maybe block 2 or 3 hits that otherwise would have connected in the very lowest tier. Like if you're a third level Moon Druid, you throw a Barkskin on yourself, you go bear form, you have third highest AC in the party and quadruple the entire party's hit point pool. That's kind of, I mean, the
Or like
most
you
meat
said
of that
before, I
is,
mean, the ranger casts it on the bear druid.
yeah, they do that at 5th level, which
You
is
might be able
even
to take a couple
later.
more hits, but
True, a lot more hits actually.
you know, if the if the rangers staying out of harm's way,
Yeah, and
and
volunteering their
that's
spell slots to help the already more busted character, right?
yeah, wow, yeah.
I don't really see it.
Oof.
Um, I don't know. What else do we say? How do we buy time on Barkskin? It's a flat 16.
Ah,
Like it's
now we don't need to buy time. Now that you've said that, we seem like we're buying time. Spark skin sucks.
it does. Commoners, let us know how
Well,
off
we
the
do
mark we
need to
are.
rate it.
Oh, sure. Uh I can't give it a 1 because it does something, so I'm gonna give it a 2.
I don't know, man. Does something is I don't I don't feel
I
like it
can
does enough to warrant a two.
I can see it being if it blocks 2 hits and you do it pre-combat on Moon Druid, sure. And that's exactly at 3rd level. It's still not great. In
All right,
like
an
maybe a
extremely
couple
generous two.
fights.
It's like the dirtiest I've ever felt given a two.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It just like it doesn't help that moon druids have so many hit points. Like I really can't express enough just what a 3rd level moon druid in terms of hit point pool. It's like rocking functionally 150 plus. Like these things take so long to kill. There's not a reality where a tuned 3rd level encounter is going to need that character to have a higher AC because they can just take every single hit and then still be fine. So like, yeah, I just don't. Even though it can be fine at 3rd level, it's still not necessary. That's why it's a 2. And then past that, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
All right, let me ask you this. Are there any other, all right, you are the moon druid casting this on yourself, because I feel like that's the most, maybe only use case scenario. Um, are there any other concentration spells this is competing with?
All the summon effects later down the road, but that's
Well, no,
already
no,
going
no,
to
I'm
be
talking
tough
about at this
anyway.
level.
Oh, not really?
Yeah. All right, so it's got that going for it.
Yeah. I still would rather have like just action use 2nd level spells. Oh, I guess Spike Growth set
Well,
this
you,
tier if you really
yeah,
wanted to set up a Spike Growth before you go Bear, but that's not something you're also going to want to do, I don't think.
I want to do that before I do this.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, that was Barkskin. Yay. Uh,
Yay.
thank you, Sam. And thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments. You might have some higher opinions than we do on Barkskin. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.